Welcome back to my channel. Really quickly, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make and attach a cuff to the end of your sleeve. This cuff here is what I'm talking about. So this is a very simple and easy step, and it's a really quick way to finish off the ends of your garments without have to worry about hemming or doing anything else to the end, and it gives a nice little finish. So let's get started. What you want to start off with is your raw sleeve, the sleeve that has not had a cuff attached. So the first thing you might want to do is measure across how far that is. So if I take my tape measure and I come all the way across, we have, looks like just about 4 inches. So that means that this wrist is about 8 inches wide, which is a little wide. The average wrist is about 6.5 or 7, but that's fine. For teaching purposes, we'll just go ahead and leave it at 4. So we know that that's 4 inches wide. You want to start off with a square piece of fabric, fold it over in half, like so. I'll even it off, turn it over. Super easy step. Now when you do this, you also want to make sure that it stretches this way, the same way your sleeve is supposed to. Now you have your fabric folded. You want to go ahead and measure again because you need 4 inches across. So I'm going to take my tape measure, measure across. We might be at almost at 4 inches exactly. So I would take off maybe just about 1/4 inch. I wouldn't even cut that. I would just sew down about 1/4 inch away from the edge. Regular seam allowance. And because this fabric does stretch, you can be off a little bit in your measurements by maybe 1/4 inch or so. It's definitely not a tragedy. So however long you choose to make this is how long your cuff will be once you fold it in half. So you're going to sew down the side. When you sew down the side, you will have something that looks like this. Now your side is sewed down one way. This way is just your fold. You now have a cylindrical piece of fabric. Little Barbie doll skirt, if you will. So what you'll do now is take this and just fold it in half like you want to turn it inside out, but you'll stop halfway. Even it out. Even it out. Now, if you cut this very even, you won't have too much difficulty in straightening it. I'll be honest, sometimes I'm really just ramming through this stuff. So I don't always cut it straight because I can always even it out on the back end, like so. So once you have this all folded, the beauty of these, attaching these cuffs, is that no matter how you turn it, every side is the right side. So when we're attaching, you'll always hear me give the rule, right sides together. Always attach right sides together. With this, you really can't mess it up unless you sew it upside down. So when you attach it, you want to put it on your hand, raw side facing downward to your palm, the finished side on your fingers. You want to hold your sleeve open, and again, seams to seam. You want to line this seam up as best you can to this seam here. You want to stick it inside the sleeve, like so. And again, if you have measured this correctly, it'll fit in here pretty flush. And again, like I told you before when we attach the sleeve, if it does not do this, do not attach it, please. If you have bagginess, gaps, stuff flopping around, it's not a good fit, don't do it. I promise you, it'll be a disaster. So I'm going to just search this on. And again, we are sewing on a curve. When we sew on a curve, we want to just take special care to kind of go slowly, but make sure that we have our layers together. Now, when you're sewing your sleeve together, you're going to have 3 layers as opposed to 2 for when you sew your sleeve on. So I'll repeat that. When you're sewing your cuff on, because I might not have said that right. When you're sewing your cuff on, you're going to have 3 layers because there's 2 layers that makes up the cuff and then 1 layer that makes up the sleeve. When you're sewing the actual sleeve on, you're only going to have 2 layers. You have 1 layer that makes the sleeve, 1 layer that makes the garment, the armhole. I hope that was clear. If not, the beauty of YouTube is that you can run that back as many times as you need to. So, cuff is on. I'll turn it on the right side so you can get a good look at the finished product. Voila. All done. So, what has to happen now before this garment can hit the shipping table is it has to be checked for loose strings. The neckline has to be hemmed. The bottom has to be hemmed. It has to be checked for underarm holes, seam holes, just the overall once over to make sure that it arrives to its owner in tip-top shape. That is something that I recommend that any seamstress does if she is in the business of selling your wares. If you do make money off of your handmade items, a lot of people don't understand or even appreciate the beauty of handmade items and the quality of handmade items. But you can help that if you send your items out and they've been properly, what's the word I'm looking for? Quality assurance. If you do your proper QA on them and make sure that all your I's have been dotted. I am a frequent spot for me is the underarm. That's why I say I check the underarm seams all the time, because that curve, darn it, is definitely my Achilles heel. Like, and I know it. That's why I always double and triple check the armhole. So that was that. I'll be back later with some more things. We'll be getting into some more like nitty-gritty stuff, like stuff that you guys really want to know how to learn. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.